Hey there, welcome to the Eurostep Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN. I am one of your hosts, Ty Windisch, joined as always by my lovely compatriot, Rohan Katti. Rohan, how's it going?
So I am doing well. It's been a solid week here in the life of Rohan. It's been a nice weekend. You know, things are looking up. It's a good time. And guess what, Ty? The Bucks are also winning basketball games. So how can you not be entertained?
What a great way to put it. And speaking of entertained, the Eurostep is presented by our friends at Prize Picks, who we will talk about later. I don't know if you saw, I hit a banger
I did not.
of a play on Saturday. We'll get into that later. I can't wait to tell you. I'm very excited. But anyway, including a demon time. I did a demon and it worked. So we'll chat. We'll chat about that. But first, of course, the Bucks did get a big win. Not a big actually, you know what? I was gonna say if you're a fan of defense, not a big win. I actually thought there were moments the Bucks defense looked great in this game, and there was obviously moments where they didn't. But before we get to that specific part of the combo, Milwaukee beats Phoenix 140-129 behind the, I think, NBA record for threes made in a half in the first half.
Tied.
18, which is ridiculous. Bobby Portis literally could not miss. I think he ended 5 for 5 from deep. Had 31 points, 10 rebounds, was incredible jump shooting the whole game. But the biggest news item from the game is Khris Middleton made his glorious return to Milwaukee Bucks basketball, and he looked awesome. I mean, were like, oh, this sucks because now he's got to take so long to get back, and then it's going to take even longer to... Nope, he's got to get his minutes up. He only played 25 and a half, but really didn't look like gas at any point. I think they just want to kind of be cautious with his conditioning. But 8 for 15 from the field, 2 for 4 from deep, 4 for 4 from free throw, 3 rebounds.
7 assists.
3 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, 2 turnovers, 22 points in 25 and a half minutes. The midi was there right away. The 3 was there right away. And even without Giannis in this game, Giannis ends up a late scratch. It seemed like probably more, just maintenance for him than anything. We know he'd been questionable with the Achilles and the hamstring and everything else. So a little caution at play here for Giannis. But even without him, the Bucks offense, when something dies on the first action with Dame and you swing it over to Khris going against an advantage, they just looked unstoppable the whole game. And it wasn't just because of Khris, but his presence makes such a big difference to this team. And you could immediately see, like, this is exactly what they've been missing on offense. This is the guy where, okay, our 2 best defenders are trapping Dame and trying to get the ball out of Giannis' hands. Oh, now Khris is going up against a mismatch and barbecue chicken. I mean, Devin Booker, you can't guard me. No one could guard him. He hit shots over KD. It was incredible. I mean, to come back with a 22-7, like you were never gone on 53, 50, 100 shooting is just wonderful.
It truly is. And like, we're clearly not the only ones who thought that, because in Bobby Portis' post-game interview with ABC, which is just a crazy statement on its own, he was talking about Khris Middleton's return, and he was like, yeah, I was trying to get him shots at the end because it's like, how great would it be to have a 20 ball in your return? It's great. So you can tell the team is really happy to have Khris back. And you can tell, like you were mentioning, by the way they're playing on the court, you can see the offense just frees itself up so well because he's a game breaker on offense. Sure, he's not going to like bend a defense on his own, but in terms of being like a second option and third option traditionally in this offense, yeah, it's an embarrassment of riches at that point. Because like you were saying, if they're ever the defense bends towards Giannis, towards Dame, and you get those mismatches, you get Khris on an advantage, it's too easy for him. He's a very, very talented player coming off of like playing against lesser units, second units, third-rate defenders on a given team. And yeah, he's going to smoke those guys. And that's what happens when you put Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Khris Middleton on the same team. Obviously, like we were mentioning, no Giannis in this game. But it was still quite a sight to see and made us remember why this team is so dangerous on paper.
100%. Yeah, it was just so nice to see him look good and fluid in his minutes. And I mean, now the whole thing is, of course, keeping him healthy from here. But again, like this was...
Knock on wood.
Yeah, and this was an inexplicable... This was an inexplicable injury. I couldn't believe they brought him back against KD, to be honest. I was like, keep Kevin Durant away from this man.
KD's foot has done weird things to this Bucks team.
Yeah, KD's foot and the Bucks are very, very tied together. But anyway, Bobby Portis and Dame were also both incredible in this game. I mean, let's talk about Bobby, who at one point in the first half, I was like, talking about the game, and it was like, wow, it's rare to see a forward this tall who moves this fluid and can handle and shoot and everything. And you don't see that every day, but that's what Bobby Portis is bringing to this game. Absolutely outplays KD and almost everyone else who played, I mean, with the possible exception of Dame. 31 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals for Bobby. 13 of 20 from the field, 5 for 5 from deep. This is like, in less than 30 minutes. In less than 30 minutes, I mean, he just could not miss. He was locked in. I mean, he cooled down certainly after halftime, but the first half he gave the Bucks a cushion to where even when Phoenix went on a run in the second half, Dame and a little bit Khris were able to kind of say, no, you're not going to come all the way back in this game. But Bobby talked after the game about, trying to prove the naysayers who wanted him traded wrong. So you're all welcome who's listening to this. We made this happen. This is a Eurostep approved game. But it's great to see, we've talked about before, when Giannis is out or when a key player is out, that's when Bobby Portis really has to step up. I mean, you'll take this from him any game, of course, but with no Giannis, you just need points, and Bobby certainly provided a ton of those and just was incredible all night long.
I'll tell you what, the projection for Bobby Portis on Prize Picks for this game for combined points, rebounds, and assists was 26.5.
You got it just with points.
Easy.
Yeah.
First half easy. No issue whatsoever. But yeah, Bobby Portis was great, and he's really exemplifying what we've been talking about Bobby post All-Star break and in the Doc Rivers era in general, is just more intentionality of where he's doing whatever he needs to do on the court. I will say this was a bit of an anomaly because, like you were saying, you need that scoring punch with Giannis out, so you're okay with Bobby sort of handling more, having a higher usage percentage when out there on offense. But you see, like, he's doing it in the right way. He's taking and making threes. He's getting himself to the rim instead of taking weird fadeaways. That's what we've wanted for Bobby Portis all season long. And in fairness to these naysayers, including ourselves, who are like, yeah, see what you can get at the trademark. He's a different player now. He is. He truly is playing a different style of basketball. So we wanted the old guy traded, Bobby, if you're listening to this. We wanted the old player traded. This new one's great. This rejuvenated one is great.
You wanted Robert Portis traded.
Yeah, I wanted Robert Portis. And now we got Bobby Portis Jr.
This is Big Bob here. And he was on the Suns' ass.
He really was. Bobby Portis outplayed KD. You're right. I didn't think about it that way.
It was 11 points in 40. KD was horrible in this game.
Yeah, 10 shots. I think Bob Myers was talking after the game.
Oh, God. That's why we let him go. That's why we let him go right there. You see it.
He was making a good point about the Suns' offense in general, which, by the way, the Suns are... yeah.
Quick stat before we get to other. Bobby's 43% from 3 post All-Star break in 12 games.
Amazing.
Has really stepped up the out faster. A lot of people notice faster.
What's the volume if they have that up?
3 attempts per game.
We'll take that.
Yeah.
We will take that for sure. But yeah, Bobby Portis really reinventing himself in the middle of the season, which is great to see. You can there was a Bucks All Access clip I believe that was tweeted earlier or shared before the game where they were where Doc Rivers was in practice talking about, hey, when you guys come in, don't just try to make an impact immediately. Do what you need to do. Clearly talking to Bobby and Pat Connaughton, and it's just like, yeah, thanks, Doc. That's exactly what we needed. We needed some accountability there. But yeah, the Suns just don't look great. Bob Myers was talking about how is what the distribution of shots was just crazy in that game. Like, yeah, Booker and Beal's going to get his, but KD having 10 shots is crazy. Having fewer shots than Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. I mean, my son Grayson Allen went off.
So did Royce. I mean, that was clearly the Bucks' plan, was like, we're going to get the ball out of these guys' hands as much as possible, and they lost too many swing possessions to O'Neal and Allen. But clearly they were like, we're not going to let KD kill us. Like, we've seen what KD can do. And they didn't. I mean, it's like The trade-off is O'Neal scores 16 points on 12 shots, and Grayson scores 25 on 14 shots, but KD has 11, and Booker, has 23 on 22 shots, which of course you'll live with. Beal probably had the best game of their big three at 28 points, 7 assists, and shot 73% from the field. But I believe a lot of that was second half. I think they did a good job on him in the first half and lost some energy. But yeah, I thought, now again, not taking anything away from Bobby or the rest of the Bucks, the Suns in the second quarter were just like, yeah, we're not going to close out anymore. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen that from a competitive team. Like, the game obviously wasn't over. They made it a single-digit game in the second half. But you're seeing the second quarter, and they're just like, KD standing like 5 feet away from Bobby, who catches the ball, and they're like, yeah, he's not going to make another one. Like, what are we doing? Like, and there was one time
the Bucks are that evil, goofy meme where it's like, I'll do it again.
And they did, thankfully. Well, and like I remember there was a possession too when Jae Crowder, who we'll talk about, is going for a floater, and the way the Bucks role players shot floaters in this game, I was like, well, that's probably going to miss. Shout out to Pat Bev, who played great defense but could not shoot around the rim at all. And I remember there's like 3 Suns. No one really contests Crowder's shot. And then no one even tries to like go box Middleton, who was there for the putback if the shot did miss, it went in. But I'm just like, they just don't care at all. Like, and I feel like a lot of the time when I end up watching the Suns, I'm like, do they want to be here? Do they want to be home? Like, where's the energy on this team? Very strange team, in my opinion.
Very, very, very strange team. They are now firmly in the play-in mix, and just like the Mavs have a better record than them.
Well, now the concern for them is they could actually fall to the bottom play-in. I mean, they are tied with the record with the Mavs. Both are 3 ahead of the Warriors/Lakers. So that's unlikely, but Phoenix has a very road-heavy, difficult schedule the rest of the way. So if one of those 2 9 and 10 seeds gets, that's the one thing you really can't do. I mean, I think if you're Phoenix, it's pretty horrible to end up in the play-in at all, especially they're on like 15 games in a row with their big 3 now, and they're just like mid in those games. But if you end up 9-10, that's really bleak.
Truly is. These franchises from the 2021 finals have taken some weird directions, I'll tell you that much. But
when they did it, you thought the KD trade was the right thing to do, right?
Absolutely.
Because I've seen from the host of The Timeline, a great Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network.
Shout out Sam and Mike.
Yeah, Sam and Mike. And one of them asked, like, they posted all 3 of the big trades. So, like, KD, Beal, and then I think Nurkic is the other big trade. And it's like, would you...
Which is funny, but also fair enough. He's having the best season of his career.
Yeah, and it's just, you only have so many big moves, and those were pretty much the 3 big swings they did. And it was like, would you undo like any one of these 3 or like any combination of them? And my thinking on that was like, I think you probably either undo all of them or none of them.
Yeah, because each of them individually aren't a bad trade. They've usually been good trades in terms of value for value, but somehow the combination of them hasn't really.
Well, that's my point. I mean, I think once you do the KD thing, like that's where you gave up the most value. All your firsts, Mikal Bridges, who, is not, it kind of looked like a star for a minute, and now it's like, yeah, probably more like a, Derek White kind of star than a, Kevin Durant kind of star, for sure. But that team, that core with him and Johnson and Booker was awesome. I guess you could not, but that's I don't think you get Beal.
Maybe you don't do the KD trade, you do the other ones.
But just we know the way it works. You're not getting Beal for 2nd round picks if you have firsts.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean,
if you don't have KD,
yeah, also,
you might not even get Beal in general.
You probably don't get Beal. Beal could be a Buck, and we could be really living in hell over here. So maybe let's just keep all those trades done. And like Nurkic, I think has helped them. Nurkic has helped them, but like. It actually probably wasn't selling well on Ayton because the Blazers seem to hate Ayton.
Yeah, but he's been playing really well post All-Star. But I think the Nurkic trade might actually be like one of the best trades. I mean, Nurkic/Allen, it's all one trade.
Yeah, Nurkic and great 2 starters. I mean, for not a lot for 1 starter, but a guy they clearly hated. Anyway, enough Suns talk. Dame time.
First 30 and 15 game in Milwaukee Bucks history. The Milwaukee Bucks. Fortunate to have many, many great players in their franchise, but no one has done that besides Damian freaking Lillard.
Tied his career high as well with 16 assists to go along with 31 points, 5 rebounds, and a steal. 10 for 19 from the floor, 4 for 8 from deep, 7 for 7 from free throw, puts away the Phoenix Suns in the fourth quarter. Rohan, as great as this all was, how do we get this happening when Giannis is out there?
That was going to be a question I had
the
for
whole
you.
game, it's like again with this. It's good to see. It's good to see you still got it. That's for sure. But
you can, if anything, Ty, the silver lining from this is that we know it's not a Dame's washed thing. We know it's
right there for him. It's right there for him.
We know it's a Dame and Giannis are struggling to play together thing.
Yeah,
which is. I have many thoughts on this.
I do too.
One, good, because this is the worst it's ever going to be in terms of Dame and Giannis playing together. Like in terms of their chemistry together, in terms of the way they feel each other on the court. This is the worst it's going to be. The chemistry is at its all-time low, and it's only going to get better. But two, the Bucks are trying to win a title this year. They're trying to win a title this season, and they have these guys who individually can do incredible things. And I will say, even with Dame on the court, I will say that Giannis has found more success in this pairing than Damian Lillard has, which is not something I won't say. I'm trying to think about what my initial take was when the trade happened. I think I said that Giannis was going to be able to flourish more, but also I thought Dame would be able to flourish more as well. But we've only really seen Giannis being able to flourish with due to this pairing because of the open space, the freeing ability to have a guy who can just hit whatever shot on the court he wants. But Giannis has really been the beneficiary of this for the most part. So it's a little concerning to see that we still have these chemistry issues when we're so close to playoff time. It is in the next calendar month the playoffs begin. However, again, another silver lining. We know the talent's there. We can see it in these games without Giannis. We can see Dame just taking control of an offense. We can see him reverting to his old self and just being like, yeah, I'm that dude. I'm going to go make it happen and go win a game for them, for his team. And his team is the Milwaukee Bucks. We can see that. It's possible. It happens. We've seen it with our own eyes, Ty. We just need to see them take that next step. We need to see them get to the next level. Like the Philly game, for example. They are without Joel Embiid, as per usual. I was lucky enough to go to the Phillies game. Thank you to my girlfriend's family for that. But it was just it was a great game. But you see a Dame and Giannis team struggling against a team that's severely undermanned, and you think, wow, this team could be so much more than they currently are. They could be so much more than the sum of their parts, and the sum of their parts on their own are incredible. And then you get to see like one of these two guys, Dame and Giannis, go off on their own, and you're like, man, it'd be really nice if they could do that together. And we have yet to see, even though we are so far into the season, so far into this pairing, we have yet to see the fruits of that bloom.
Yeah.
And I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's clear from everything Doc says that that's like priority number one, right? Like everything they run, like all he talk, like Dame and Giannis. To me, I think, you look at the nuts and the bolts of it. I think it's just the space around the rim for Dame. I think it's just harder when Giannis is in the game because you're watching him play against Phoenix, and obviously the worst shooter on the floor at any point is going to be Brook, who was a weapon and like teams. Can't totally leave him open. It feels like lately, Brook takes the garbage shots that lower his percentage. But like when they actually set up Brook with like a good open catch and shoot, it feels like he's been money on those, which has been encouraging. But the rim was wide open for him. Also, the Suns are just bad at defense, clearly. But regardless, 5 of Dame's 6 made twos were right at the rim, and then one was I think it was a step back like late in the game that helped put it away. Over KD or Booker or something like that. But he was 5 of 8 at the rim. Got to the rim 8 times and converted 5 of them. And it was just much more wide open than he's used to it being. And I really think some of what they have to work out is, okay, obviously Dame's presence is great for Giannis because teams trap, and then there's so much less at the rim. Like I don't think, it's not just Giannis is way better this year. The reason his numbers are up, efficiency. A big part of it, of course, is you move the extra defender, like the chess piece goes from in the paint to out by the 3-point line. That makes Giannis's life so much easier by default. And we shouldn't overlook, like, that's a big deal no matter what. I mean, making Giannis more unstoppable is huge for him and the Bucks. But I almost think the Bucks now need to work on, instead of just working on the pick and roll, they probably need to do like more DHOs and try and flip it a little bit so that Dame is the one who gets to move toward the rim sometimes without the extra bodies there, because it's just hard to get going on only jumpers. I mean, we've had this combo about how many different teams and how many different playoff series, like the Rockets, where when I first kind of realized this concept or thought of it, I mean, it's not proven necessarily, but like it's really hard to win consistently if you're jump shooting and never get into the rim, right? Like we all agree that's not good. And when they go cold, you have to get to the rim. Dame just hasn't been able to get to the rim. We've seen the heavy traffic. We've seen him, and now no one in the NBA is getting calls anymore, which I'm fine with as in the whole. But for Dame, is clearly affecting him. I think they've got to engineer more ways for him to get to the basket. Whether that's, we talked about last pod, kind of when they top lock him on those DHOs, can he cut the other way? Whatever it is, I think they need to work on more. I think just play designs, don't just wait for it to happen. Draw up stuff that gets Dame moving away from traffic so he can get going. Because as we saw in this game, when he gets in a rhythm, when he feels good, when he gets to the rim, he's still that guy. He just hasn't been able to, and I kind of get it. I mean, I think he's not used to the center of the floor being congested like that. His teams, it was never like that. And of course, Giannis changes that calculus, but I think that's going to be the number one key for the Bucks, for Dame playing well with Giannis, is how do we engineer some space for this guy? Right now, Giannis is benefiting. Let's make sure Dame can as well.
Ty, I mean, if you want to get Dame going early without Giannis, I mean, do you start bringing Giannis off the bench?
I was thinking about this. Maybe you do.
Do you start Bobby instead? Try to get that extra spacing out there, so you can save Giannis for the second units?
Yeah, and
This is clearly a joke, by the way.
Yeah. This is the Khris coming off the bench joke. I was trying to think of a funny way to keep it going, and I couldn't, unfortunately.
But yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. It's a lot of spacing issues that are leading to Dame sort of feeling congested and not being able to get himself going, because we've seen that. We've seen that a lot with Dame, in that whenever his jumper is not falling too much, we see him default to try to get to the rim. His burst is not what it used to be, but it's still lethal.
He beats guys all the time. I've seen that, like, he doesn't get past anyone. He gets past his guy all the time, but then there's help.
It's like comparing 2014 LeBron to 2008 LeBron. Like 2008 LeBron's a different animal. Of course he's not the same guy, but he's still doing what he needs to do at an elite level. Like his head's not smashing the backboard anymore. Sorry guys, but like he's still able to turn the corner fairly easily. Like I have not seen too many examples of Damian Lillard coming off a screen and not being able to get past his defender without there being like him wanting to get a foul call or anything. Like he can still maneuver his way to the basket fairly easily. But you're right, it's more difficult to finish when there's guys like Giannis there, when there's guys like Brook and Bobby there. It's just tougher. It's more difficult. But it is something to keep an eye on for sure.
The good news. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The good news is post All-Star, I mean, two of these games have been without Giannis, and he had a couple stinkers the last two games before the Suns game for Dame. But still, Lillard is averaging 23.6 points, 8.3 rebounds, 8.3 assists, 5 rebounds, on 43% from the field, 40.6% from three, 93% from free throw. So has still been productive. Also, the Bucks have crushed in his minutes, plus 10.6 net rating with Dame on in the 12 games he's played post All-Star. So it's not like he's been horrible. He did have two back-to-back very bad games, but I don't know. It's still not where it needs to be. I think there's been a little bit of progress for Dame, and I think if they can just open up the rim for him a little bit more, there'll be even more. Maybe it is. I mean, you joke about bringing Giannis off the bench. Maybe it is like Matt, like really going, all right, late first when Giannis subs out, like we're going to try and get Dame to the rim a bunch right then. Like that's when we're going to maybe like some pick and pops with Brook instead of rolls. Like, let's really open up as much space as possible that way. They've been doing a bunch of fun DHOs with Brook that I like recently, including they'll do like a double version where he fakes the first one and that guy can either cut or flare for three and then do the handoff. And it's like Brook is kind of screening and rolling. There's a player popping or cutting, and then usually it's Dame or sometimes Khris gets the ball and can operate. I've liked that. I'm encouraged by what they're going toward. They're not there yet, and like you say, they have to hurry. But the talent is pretty hard to argue with as well.
100%. There's no doubt. The talent's there. The talent is absolutely there. Just getting back to what we were saying, how we started this conversation. We know Dame can do it. We know Giannis can do it. We know Khris can do it. Let's just put it all together, team. Like, what's the glue? Who's the glue? Where's George Hill when you need him?
Khris. Oh, okay.
He's on his ranch.
Yeah, he's for sure on his ranch right now. Do you know the three players who are leading the Bucks in 3-point percentage post All-Star break when you don't filter for volume?
Bobby?
Nope. He's
really?
Fourth.
Oh. Giannis?
Yes, he's third. A horrible slide for AJ Green, who's in the middle of a brutal slump, only hitting 39% of his threes. AJ, come on.
Come on, man. You can't be just a sub 40%.
I saw somebody tweet like AJ Green's 2 for 5, and I'm disgusted. It's like, yeah, it does feel like he should be 3 for 3 every game. We know that's not how it works.
Yeah, it's like 2 for 5. That's 40%, and you're just
come on, AJ.
Come on, AJ. What are you doing?
Giannis is third at 47%.
Okay, so Giannis is third. Bossman?
No, he has picked it up the last couple of games. He's up to 36% post break. I'll talk about him in a minute. I'm excited about how Bossman's been playing. No, I'm going to save you some time. One of these guys has played one game. One of them has played 5 games, so not regular rotation players.
Thanasis?
No, Khris Middleton.
Oh.
Thanasis is dead last. He has not attempted one, actually. He's not dead
so
last.
He's first. He hasn't missed.
Whichever, it shows as 0 on the NBA site. Khris 2 for 4 in one game. And Marjan Beauchamp, I think, is also 1 for 2 probably. He's attempted 1. So anyway, that was a useless stat. But you know what's not useless is our friends at Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players, like I did on Sunday. Can't wait to talk about. I can't wait to. I'm seeking the approval of Rohan, who is truly the DFS GOAT, but I'm just trying to carve out my own lane here. But all you do is pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. You can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Listen, folks, it's tournament season. No better time to get in on the action. I saw actually when I booted up today to check my entry. Right now, I don't know if you've heard of this Caitlin Clark person, decent at scoring the basketball, and there is a 98% off pick. Her points for the game, whenever I think she plays Saturday, I believe. I don't know if that might be it.
It's Saturday.
Really? Not until Saturday? Well, whichever. Whenever she plays, the number is 0.5. So if you know anything about Caitlin Clark, she will probably score 1 point. I don't usually make picks here, but I think I feel pretty confident in that one. So get it on that action. And you can also, of course, hit up NBA action like I did. Malik Beasley, more than 12.5 points. Ended up with 17. This one was a little scary after the first quarter. My other first quarter ones look good. I was like, please get involved. He did. Beasley got hot in the rest of the game. Damian Lillard, more than 37.5 points and assists. Ooh, the career high in assists sure felt good for that one. Ended up with 42 combined points and assists. And then Demon Time, Rohan's son, Grayson Allen. The Demon Time threes made was 3.5. He had 3 in the first quarter. I was like, yeah, this feels pretty good. He ends with 6, not even close. Was done entering the fourth quarter. My $10 power play turns into $80 on Prize Picks. You gotta love when that happens. You guys can all listeners get on the action as well. Download the app today. Use code Eurostep for a first deposit match up to $100. Sprinkle in the Caitlin Clark half a point. Make a couple Bucks picks. Boom, profit. Hopefully.
That's a good play, Ty. The Demon Time Grayson Allen. That's
yeah.
It's easy.
The Grayson revenge game, and then he prayed with him after the game. So
which was nice.
It was kind-hearted revenge. Yeah, pick more, pick less.
You can tell
prospects.
the guys like Grayson.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you like Grayson Allen? That's a loaded question.
Let's. I want to talk about. Should we talk about Boss Man?
Let's talk about Boss Man. So Boss Man has been not his best in
been.
Yes, he had not been his best in the absence of Khris Middleton, post All-Star break, post injury, whatever you want to say. But as of late, he started to pick it up a little. You could see it in the Philly game. He goes 3 for 6 from 3. He's playing solid defense as he always does. And I don't want to say, when we say not playing so well, we mean on the offensive end. He's been fairly solid on the defensive end.
Yeah.
But just offensively, you don't want to turn into current PJ Tucker. You know,
no.
You don't want to do that, or even like Bucks era PJ Tucker. You still don't want that.
It still wasn't ideal, the offensive output there. I will say, going back to the Clippers game, the win over the one win on the West Coast trip, he was 3 for 5, 1 for 2 from deep in that game, and I was kind of like, okay, that's a pretty good game. Then he has a near Snell performance against the Kings, but then, as you mentioned, 3 for 6 from deep against the Sixers, and now 4 for 6 and 7 from 11 overall against the Suns. A little boss man revenge game. Also, 3 steals. I mean, really just active all over the place. Was giving the Suns drivers fits, both as the primary and help defender. Really, again, the aggressive defense that's being allowed right now, I think, is a huge benefit to the Bucks, and the way guys like Crowder and Pat Bev for sure want to play. I mean, you're seeing those guys get away with more. And good. Like, let's let the guys hoop. That's always what we've been about here at the Eurostep. And Crowder has been a big beneficiary of that.
He truly has. Like, you want to see these guys embrace their role, embrace like their abilities, their skill sets, and that's what Boss Man's been doing these last couple of games. He's able to knock down those shots. He's able to be active on the defensive end. He is that guy that we've wanted him to be. Early in the season, we saw, hey, this guy's playing really, really well with the starters. He's playing really well with Dame, Giannis, Khris, whoever you want to see. He can slide up. He can slide down. He's a versatile forward that you want. And after his injury, his absence, he sort of comes back, not playing his best, not being able to hit some shots. But when he is, like he is starting to do right now, you can see how valuable he is to this team. You can see why he should be a solid member of this playoff rotation, because he's going to provide that hard-nosed defense. He's going to provide the ability to hit those catch-and-shoot threes. Don't ask him to do much else, though. But that's fine. They have other guys on the team who can do a lot. So I think this is a great sign, considering Boss Man 99 himself. We're going to start calling him Boss Man again.
The boss is back. He's back. Been re-promoted.
He's no longer a little employee. He's Boss Man.
No, reinstated.
Yeah. We can start using capital letters again on the stock tweets. It was so fun progressively getting smaller. I
love that people really noticed it too. Every time we would change it up, we're like, oh, I see what you did for Crowder. It's like, yeah, thanks for following along.
It's fun for us at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
But it's you see why he's such a valuable member of this rotation. And what the thing about Boss Man is that he's a streaky guy. He'll hit 50% of his threes in a series and then go hit 5% of his threes in a series. That's just how he is. And if he's starting to turn up at the right time and get hot at the right time, that's all you can ask for.
I will say, I feel like similar to Pat Bev, Mr. Belta-Ass himself, I feel good about Boss Man Revenge series. Like, this was a revenge game for Boss Man, probably the most personal one, and he was great. And knowing that Miami and Boston are probably two of the most feared opponents the Bucks could see in the East, and of course those both being revenge series for Boss Man, encourages me personally. I'm excited. He like Pat Bev. I mean, these two guys have a lot of revenge opportunities. They've been all over the place, but I'm pretty encouraged, and it's just great to see him come back to life offensively. And yeah, the defense has stood out. You mentioned the playoff rotation. I wanted to talk about this because there was some chatter about this in our Discord. You can join and find all of our content and the Bucks stock market at gspn.info. All of our links are there. But there was some like, oh, would Pat Bev be outside of the playoff rotation after he missed all those floaters? And Pat Bev did end 1 for 6 from the field, but had 4 assists, 1 steal, played great defense as usual, and the Bucks were great in his minutes. He actually had a team high plus minus, But that is a fake stat from this game because plus minus did not like Chris's game. So we're going to ignore the plus minus from this single game. Anyway, the playoff rotation. So clearly we can establish a starting point. I mean, Dame, Bees, Khris, Giannis, Brook. Obviously, that's going to be the starters. I don't think that Bees would lose his spot. I think, honestly, he was very good offensively in this game, 5 for 8 from 3, including some contested ones. 3 assists from Bees was nice to see. He's sort of was involved more on the ball. And I think defensively, he has taken strides this year. Is he a stopper? Is he on Pat Bev or Jae Crowder's level? No. But he's fighting, and he's not just getting relentlessly beat, which is good to see. I think he will start. Maybe his minutes will go down in some matchups, but I actually do think he's very important in the Bucks offense. Then off the bench, I think Bobby plays in probably every series. I just don't think they have the big depth anymore.
No, that's guaranteed.
And he's been really good. That too. I shouldn't just say it as like a negative. So then that's 6. I guess the first question is how many. So I think they probably start out 9 or 10 to start a series. I think that's pretty normal.
That's usually it's usually how it goes. You start with the bigger rotation and then sort of whittle your way down, and where you find out, who's playing
looks
well,
good, who can't play in the matchup. So we know the starters. We know Bobby. Let's go down through 10 then, because I think 10 that's what we're seeing 9 play right now, but that's without Khris, without Giannis. We'll see if 9 continue to play or if it does go up to 10. Who would you have next after Bobby? 6-man Bobby. There's
Jae Crowder. Easy.
Crowder next. Easy
for me. Again, he's that guy where you're going to have, like, you can slot him with any combination of guys, and he's going to be able to go out there and play well. He's going to be able to play his role, and it doesn't really matter who's around him. And especially when you have, like, the next guys up are going to be guys like Pat Bev. It's going to be guys like AJ Green, like Pat Connaughton. And with Pat Bev, in this case, I do think Pat Bev is a member of this rotation, just to be clear. But when you have Dame, you're comfortable having Dame out there realistically the whole game.
I actually think they're going to end up in spots where it might be either or Pat as a series dwindles down. And I think there could be different matchups for either of them. Like, I think if you're really having problems containing on defense, maybe you go Pat Bev. But if you really need more offense, I mean, Pat Connaughton, his numbers have declined a bit post All-Star, but certainly I think he's giving you more offense than Pat Bev. He's been getting to the rim more, which is nice to see. They're letting him handle more. It's kind of like this pseudo point guard role, and he actually does pretty well. Like, he's a good distributor. He can run pick and rolls a bit. But I kind of think those two could toggle on and off as your 8th guy. But I think that's 8-9 right there, right? Like, I think those two players. And maybe you have a stronger preference on which one plays than I do. But as you mentioned, that the reason isn't always like, oh, the minutes go down for guys because, they can't play. I think both of those guys can play in almost any matchup. They go down because Dame is going to be playing like 46 minutes in a late game in a big series, and that just takes away opportunities for other guys. So maybe neither of them could play in like a game 7. It all just depends. But I think those two are probably jockeying for what is likely the final spot. And really like the small off the bench, the ball mover, that sort of thing. I think it's pretty close between those two. I think it's honestly hard to say one is definitively better than the other because they both just offer different things.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm glad you mentioned the ball handling ability sometimes from Pat Connaughton, but I do think, I think I'd agree. I think those two are probably the last guys in. I could see some AJ action.
I think early in a series, I just think it's going to be hard for him with all the vets in front of him that have played really well lately. Like, this isn't just like a Doc thing of like, oh, he's got to play the vets. Like, AJ's played very well. I mean, if anything, he's got a month to prove I'm more ready than Pat Connaughton. I think that's what it has to be. I just don't think they're going to regularly go 10 deep in the playoffs. Like, Giannis is going to play a bunch. Dame's going to play a bunch. I mean, there could be some matchups where Brook can't play as much, but then I think you'll just see more Bobby and more Crowder. I mean, Crowder, Middleton, Giannis has the potential to be an incredible 3-4-5, and then you can really stick.
Outside of Bobby, by the way, we didn't mention this with Khris. A solid 2-way performance on his way back, by the way. I would be remiss if we didn't mention that. Khris had some fine defensive moments
The Beal possession where he stopped like 3 different drive attempts. Like, wow, Beal is not a slow player. I mean, that's the kind of guy
that got me going. That was
that's the kind of guy you worry about with Khris, right? Like, fast guard. Like, is he just going to get beat? Or nope, he didn't. I think Beal ended up scoring, but Khris made it very difficult, which is all. It wasn't Chris's fault. No. So, yeah, I think AJ would probably have to go for the Pat spot. I think for the Pat Connaughton spot. I think Pat Bev probably is the inside track right now ahead of Connaughton. Just if for no other reason than you look at the first 5 and it's like, okay, yeah, if we can get more guard defense, that's probably helpful.
Yeah, I think that's fair, especially with the backcourt that they have. So
yeah, exactly.
When you have Damian Lillard, you have Malik Beasley out there, it's more difficult to not slot in a defensive-minded guard like Patrick Beverley, especially a Doc guy.
Yeah,
in Pat Bev, so I think he's pretty much guaranteed.
And I mean, just like some of the energy moments he's brought that we know can pay off in the playoffs.
For sure. And I'm not trying to say he doesn't have value. He obviously does.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I'm not trying to be like hating on Pat Bev right now. Otherwise, I'm gonna hear it on the pod.
The belt's coming.
The belt's coming from the ass. I'll tell you that. The Euro step is next on the belt to ass tour. If I say that. Which is not true, by the way. We are pro Pat Bev pod.
Yeah.
I don't want any pod beef, man.
No.
Don't want that at all. But yeah, I think he's probably guaranteed to be in there. And I agree with your premise. I think AJ is coming for the Pat spot 100%.
I think that's the last spot up for grabs.
It is, and that's what we've seen. We've seen AJ and Pat sort of alternate between who's getting more and more minutes. And that's because they're really fighting for the same rotation spot.
Yeah. So in this game, and obviously this isn't all determinant, especially with Giannis out and Khris on the restriction. Brook Lopez really Doc saw the Suns go small and was like, yeah, we're not going to get picked apart defensively. Sorry, Brook. Brook played 18 minutes in Sunday's game. Really they were just like, yeah, Bobby's got it. Like, we're going to just let Brook chill in this one, which I think that can happen in the playoffs too. But Crowder plays 31, which only Dame played more at 38.5. Bees played 29. Bobby Portis off the bench played 29. Pat Bev played 29. And then Pat Connaughton 22. AJ Green 15.5. So I think I think coaches, especially Doc, you want to trust vets, you want to trust defense. I think Pat Bev, Jae Crowder, Bobby Portis is probably your regular bench when you're healthy in the playoffs. Honestly, I feel pretty good about that bench.
I feel pretty good about it too. It's what we've been talking about all season long. Like, theoretically, this is a very, very deep Milwaukee Bucks team.
Yeah,
just those players just have to actually play well.
We've been seeing from most of them lately.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Is that's started to materialize. You're starting to see, hey, this bench can actually be a value instead of them just coming in randomly doing whatever they want on the court and just being like, oh, how did we lose this lead, guys? We just came out here and started chucking shots, jumping into the stands. How did we lose this lead? I don't understand it. It's not our fault though. But Doc's kind of righted the ship in that regard. Yeah,
100%. It will be interesting to see. And my close personal friend Danilo Gallinari did not play. It seems like AJ Green is firmly in that 10th spot right now. Yeah, I met Gallo.
Yeah.
So Gallo went to the Herd game. And I've learned later, his brother, Federico, is an assistant coach for the Motor City Cruise. So there was a connection there. But also, after the game, so I saw Gallo there. I thought he was with 1 or 2 people. It turns out he wasn't. He was just sitting in a random seat next to fans and chatting with them. And it looked like I literally thought he knew them going in for that reason. He's just having a good time, chilling. Nope, he just literally, I've never seen this before from a pro player. Just rolled down completely solo to watch rolled up geographically to watch Herd cruise. And then the security guy was the Herd team was like, hey, how about you go over here by the cruise bench so you're not surrounded by random people? And Gallo's like, I mean, I'm good. They ended up moving him, just let's be safe, whatever. But after the game, I'm going back to the locker room to do interviews and stuff. And on the way back, who do I see just standing in the tunnel? Again, nobody around. Gallo. I was like, hey, "Hey, Gallo, Ty Windisch, nice to meet you," and just chat with him about like, "Hey, you ever been to a Herd game before?" He's like, "No, I like to go, G League. If it's close by, I'll go down and see a game of the NBA team I'm with." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. Well, nice to meet you, Gallo. It's I'll let you go, do whatever you're doing here." Turned out he was waiting to see his brother, but yeah, just very funny. I was just like, "Good guy, Gallo." It was nice to meet. He was a very pleasant person to interact with.
Shout out to Gallo, man. I love down to earth, nice people. You know?
Literally could not have been a more pleasant.
I'm not going to make the comment I was going to make.
Yeah.
But
I know too many people responded to my tweet like when I was like, "Oh, he's courtside at the Herd game," like keep him there. Like, come on.
No, you can't.
He's doing a nice thing.
You can't do that.
He's doing a nice thing. He's a good guy.
No,
but anyway,
shout out to Gallo.
It looks like Gallo may be bringing more vibes right now to the Bucks and anything. Which again, it's a deep team. Like it's
a deep team. Yeah. We did not mention Gallo as a part of the playoff rotation.
Nope.
Sorry, Gallo. You're a great guy. Come on.
Nor did we mention Ajax or Marjan. Like the ship is just sailed.
It's gone. It's over. The ship, those two are still on the dock, and the ship is near the North Pole right now.
The dock.
The dock. They're on the river's dock. Dock Rivers dock.
Do you think Doc should stop lying about one of them being important this year?
He's changed who it is, though.
I know. AJ's not going to play. Like, what are we doing?
He might.
When? I know. I'm sorry. Ajax.
Okay.
Ajax.
But
AJ might. Yes.
To give some context, so when Doc first got hired, he was like talking about Marjan and Andre Jackson Jr. He's like, one of those guys is going to be really important for us and going to play for us this year. We're going to need one of those guys to really play well for us to succeed this year. Someone asked him recently about the young guys. He's like, "Hey, I've been telling you all season long, one of AJ Green and Andre Jackson Jr. are going to play. They're going to play big minutes with us. We're going to need one of those two to step up." And it's like, oh,
that changed. That's different.
That tenor sort of shifted.
We've talked about this, but credit to AJ Green.
Oh, absolutely.
At the start of the year, we're like, "Oh man, we got Marjan, we got Ajax, Chris Livingston." I remember we were talking, do they even need another shooter? Like, is AJ Green even going to be here after the deadline? And now it's like AJ might be the best perimeter defender out of the group, at least right now.
It's crazy, right?
I mean, he's playing
his defense. He moves his feet so well, and he's so strong.
Yeah,
he gets in the right spots. He's drawing charges like a vet. You're like, what's happening? Like he had one where he was containing a drive on Beal, and Beal had to like just elbow him out, and he got called for an offensive foul. But it's like, yeah, Bradley Beal, the guy who's the leading scorer for the Phoenix Suns and their best player in that game, he couldn't get around AJ Green.
No, there was one he made where he was like, the Suns, by the way, still so whiny. They're crying for calls all the time. But Beal's like, that's a foul.
Starts and ends with Devin Booker.
100%. But they showed the replay. Beal initiated all the contact. Like, AJ did not move forward. It was textbook, like, you're allowed to move as the defender if you don't initiate the contact. He didn't. Like, he had his arms up and slid, and Beal, like, slams into him and throws the shot up. And again, it goes in. Like, AJ's not holding everyone to no makes. But it's like, that's not a foul. I mean, that's textbook defense. AJ's, the quickness of his feet and the strength of his frame have combined for, and just like, he's just a very smart defender. Like, he won't bail guys out. Like, he's very good. Like, I think he got a couple times earlier in the year when you have to come in and guard a vet on offense who will get you moving early and draw that foul. He's pretty good about not doing that. Like, he fouled once in this game in 15 and a half minutes. And again, when he goes in now, Doc is like, yeah, just go guard like a dangerous, shifty point guard. Like, he did great work on Maxey. And also, I want to clarify, a lot of people after that Philly game, I've seen Philly fans and Bucks people going, he didn't do anything. They're doubling Tyrese Maxey. One, they're trapping Tyrese Maxey, which is different. They're not doubling Tyrese Maxey. That Bobby, if you watch the game, Bobby goes back to his man after about 3 seconds. They trap on ball to slow down the drive. But still, if the primary defender is bad and you trap, the offensive player can just go around them. We've seen it happen to the Bucks many times. AJ Green,
Jason Kidd.
Yes, and also Adrian Griffin. But AJ Green held up.
Same person.
Is kind of. And it was just really good. So, yeah, I mean, that just isn't that crazy, though? Like, he is, I think, the best perimeter defender out of that group of players, despite having like nowhere near the physical tools of the rest of that group of players. I
Hey,
mean,
he might though.
well, I mean, just like raw, like fast twitch athleticism.
That's
does not.
fair. He might though.
No,
he might.
No. He is
Making
not
some
the same
assumptions
athlete.
here, Ty?
I've watched them all play. He is not the same athlete as Andre Jackson Jr.
You making some assumptions here, Ty?
Oh my God! Yes, I am. I'm anti-white. We all know.
Oh,
this.
what? Hey, no, I was. Hey, yo, I was talking about undrafted versus drafted players.
Oh, okay, there it is.
Come on, hey, whoa, hey, let's not get into trouble here.
I don't think I can get in trouble for that.
That's fair. You can't.
Let's find out. Let's find out.
It's not actually. But yeah, AJ Green. It's truly a revelation. It's amazing for the Bucks, and again, all credit to AJ Green and his own development, him working on his craft, him developing his own skills. All credit goes to AJ Green.
First in the practice facility, first in the chapel, according to Bobby Portis.
First into ones with Giannis.
His b-ball skills, his prayer skills. Nobody getting in there before AJ.
Yeah, Grayson Allen saw AJ in the circle. He's like, man, no wonder they traded me.
Damn.
But it's like all that credit to AJ. It's so nice to see the Bucks have one of these undrafted guys pop off, man. It's so nice. First, I'm sick and tired of seeing these random dudes from the Raptors, from the Heat, just kill the Bucks. It's so nice to have one, I will say.
I mean, at this point right now, AJ's got to be looking toward next year like, is that going to be a starting spot here for me?
I don't think that's out of the question.
We know the Bucks will be active in trying to maintain Malik Beasley and to find other players. But in terms of all the bench guys who could possibly start, who are going to be under contract, I mean, I think it's him over Pat right now. I think you want to keep Bobby in that bench role that he thrives in. Everyone else is set to expire. I mean, they could obviously keep any number of these guys, but he is the one who we've always talked about, like MarJon or Ajax, is like, oh, there's going to be that Beasley spot. He's the one right now who's set up to take advantage. And again, credit to him and credit to the Bucks for finding him on a two-way, like the day of the draft after he went undrafted, and just keeping him around, bringing him back. When we were like, oh, okay, maybe he should try and find an opportunity elsewhere. Thank God, because if he had gone somewhere else and played like this, it would have been a literal gut punch. Not literal. I might have punched myself in the gut.
Yeah, imagine if they had let him go on a two-way like they did like Marquise Bolden, Wiggs, like
Wenyen Gabriel.
Yeah, Wenyen Gabriel. I'm glad they kept AJ.
Yeah. The other side of things, it's going to be a real big summer for MarJon Beauchamp. I mean, we don't have time to do a full offseason. I want to talk about the Celtics game quickly. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's a little tenuous right now for large Marge.
Bull clamps, man.
Sure.
We need you. It's gonna be an interesting summer for sure. It's
Here's my position. And it's not on Beauchamp, just on the offseason. And again, we're not going to do a full thing right now. I've briefly looked at draft prospects because, again, the Bucks have their first this year, Stepien rule. You have to have one every other year. And they have the Portland second. So that's like 2 picks between like 25 and 35, which is a good place to be in most drafts. This draft sucks at the top, but that might actually work out well for Milwaukee. Like, look at 2013. Like, it can be that means the best player in this draft could go anywhere in this draft. Like, there's been like 7 guys up for number 1. That typically tells you the draft sucks. And it's not been that because 7 guys have been so impressive. It's been that because 7 guys have like Ron Holland was going to be number 1. Now, like, is for top of the first round? I don't know. Like, it's just been rough for these prospects. Of course, Cooper Flagg will be next draft. That guy would go number 1 and like easily in this draft.
Even like current age Cooper Flagg would probably go number 1 in this year's draft.
No question. No, if you had to keep him in the G League for a full year, I think he'd go number 1. And you couldn't play him in the NBA yet. But so the Bucks have, as we just had this mini combo, right? AJ Green, Andre Jackson Jr., MarJon Beauchamp, Chris Livingston, and then if you want to count the two ways as well, I think Ty Washington Jr. should factor into the future plans. Ryan Rollins and Jalen Galloway have not impressed. Jalen Galloway, I'm going to give more benefit. He just got to the hurt, so we'll give that time.
He's a young athlete.
Ryan Rollins had 2 pretty dreadful games in back-to-back against the Motor City Cruise. Not good. Not good. So if you want to count Ty, I think as going forward, I wouldn't really factor in Rollins and Galloway as future wing prospects, but we'll see. But even without the 2 ways, that's 4 players on NBA deals who are slated to be there next year. All basically same position, same role, young wing prospect. I know everyone wants the Bucks to take a center, but even if they go center point guard, with let's say they use the picks, I don't think they will have 6 developmental projects on the NBA roster next year. Personally.
Yeah.
I think that's too many. So that either means you are trading picks or you are trading players. And I do think that one of those things will happen. I don't think that they're going to go into the next season. I mean, you could say it's the Gallo spot. And I mean, after that, there's really not another NBA player. I mean, people could say Thanasis. I won't say that to not upset you.
I will.
But
I'll say he's an NBA player.
No, I'm saying that spot.
I know.
I'm saying you take that spot away. So that's basically 2 vets gone or some young players gone. And that's if they use all 15 right away, which they probably won't. So I do think we're going to see some movement on the young guy front, or maybe just both the picks get traded, but it wouldn't surprise me if I think MarJon is the guy who's probably most at risk there. Just with where he's at contractually and not gaining really any ground in the rotation.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
Which is sad to see. Another Bucks first-round pick sort of lost in the weeds.
Maybe they should hold on to him. Look at Dante.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's saying we're not relitigating.
No, we don't have time for that. Bucks Celtics in Boston. 6:30 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday. I believe both teams are off a little bit before the game. I know the Bucks are. I will check on Boston. I don't think they have their excuse this time.
Yeah, it's
they play today. They host the Pistons, so they should only have to play about 20 minutes of that game, and then they'll have a full day off before.
I don't know.
Bucks.
The Pistons have given them trouble before.
That's true.
That is true, but they probably won't in this game. But yeah, it's the second matchup of the season between the Bucks and the Celtics, the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference, 2 of the top teams in the NBA.
Is that a meme or are you?
What?
This is the 3rd time they're playing.
Okay.
There was the stinker on
Whoops.
national TV, and then I thought I didn't stop you right away because I thought you were doing a.
It's the second real game.
The second game because the last one didn't count because Boston heroically was on the second night of a back-to-back. The only team who's ever had to do that in NBA history.
Yeah, realistically, that game didn't count. I mean, TNT, they took it away until they realized they can't, which was really funny. But yeah, it's going to be it's first of 2 matchups here in the last stretch of the season for the Bucks against the Celtics, and it's shape up time, Ty. It's time to test your mettle against some of the best team in the NBA. It's time to see how you match up with them. There's post trade deadline, post everything. Both teams are relatively healthy. It's go time. It's time to see how you match up, how they match up against you, how to really exploit them, how they can exploit you, how to fix that. These are 2 of the most important games remaining. I'd say they're the 2 most important games remaining on the schedule for the Bucks, considering that they are firmly, not, I won't say officially, but they are firmly locked in for between 2 and 3. I mean, the Knicks are 2.5 games, or 3.5 games out, from Milwaukee in second, 2 games out at third, and to the Cavaliers. So I'd say 2 and 3 are standing firm right now. Obviously not guaranteed, but it's looking more and more like it's going to be Bucks Cavs in some order. But you will not be able to see Boston if you're 2 and 3 until the conference finals. So just being able to get some time, get some reps in so you can game plan for a potential matchup later down in the playoffs is very, very important. And it's just big games for the players, too. You want to see how you stack up against the best of the best. You want to see, hey, how does this player play against this? How does this player play against this matchup? Because this is a whole new team than the previous matchups, right? Whenever you have a different team member to the team, it's a whole new team. You have to figure out that dynamic. So how does Pat Bev slide in? How does AJ Green in the rotation slide in? How does
Jae
Doc
Crowder.
Rivers? How does Doc Rivers coach against the Celtics? These are completely new variables that they need to take into account. And yeah, Jae Crowder
hasn't played in either of the games yet against Boston because of the injury.
Yeah, how does he factor in it? It's going to be very, very interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Bucks rotation from these first two games. So the first one, this is still, I think, one of the most bizarre games I can remember. Because you look at the stats going into this, and it should have been a blow. I mean, Milwaukee does end up shooting 38% from three, but Boston shoots 40% from three, holds Khris Middleton to 4 of 14, Giannis 7 for 20, Dame 11 for 24. And, like, how is it even close? Brook Lopez was incredible. That was one of the things that stood out from that game. And that first game, the Celtics had their best 6 players. I think they were fully healthy. And the second game, when the Bucks blew them out, they had everyone but Horford, who doesn't play back-to-backs anymore. But the Bucks in that second game, Middleton 2 for 9, it just didn't matter because Milwaukee dog-walked Boston, just absolutely destroyed them. Bobby Portis was great in that second game. Really, most of the Bucks rotation players were. But no Jae Crowder, no Pat Bev, 2 guys that we just talked about will be big playoff rotation factors. I mean, you look, Andre Jackson Jr. was playing a bunch in these games. Like, it was just a whole different Bucks lineup. MarJon played nearly 22 minutes in the first one, the one that the Bucks lost in Boston. He played more than Bobby Portis in that game. So just a whole different Bucks look, and everything is so different for Milwaukee. But I do think they've played the Celtics very well overall without their probably two of their best defenders you would clock in this series, meaning Crowder and Pat Bev. 2 guys who are strong enough. I think that's been Milwaukee's issue with Boston. It feels like they don't have enough guys who are strong enough to guard the Jays. I think Milwaukee's in a better spot for that than they have been in probably quite a few years when you look at their rotation going forward. Yeah, I can't wait for this game. I think it should be a good one. We've obviously been burned by this before, but I think Milwaukee has played Boston relatively well. They only lost by 3 that first game despite missing countless bunnies over the course of the game. Again, Giannis 7 for 20. Giannis 7 for 20 and 7 for 17 from 2. It felt like the ball just squirted out of his hand 50 times going toward the rim of that. It was just a weird game. And then Dame bricks a dunk at the end to seal it. Front rim the dunk, I should say. And then, of course, the last game was just great. So, yeah, I mean, how many teams are, like plus 20-some against Boston on the season going into this game? I mean, probably not very many.
Probably not very many at all.
Maybe Denver, but honestly, Milwaukee might have a better point differential versus Boston than Denver. I think both of their wins were relatively close this season.
Yeah, and we're going to get Giannis with multiple days of rest. Yep. 5 days of rest, I believe, in between that Sixers game and now this Celtics game. So make sure the big fella gets healthy, stays healthy, and this should be a great matchup, Ty. It
should be. And real quick, because you mentioned it, look at the standings here in the NBA. So Boston's going to be the 1 seed. I mean, we can 9.5 game lead over the Bucks. It's just incredible. Milwaukee now has a full game and a half on Cleveland. Milwaukee is nearly as far away from the Cavs as the Cavs are the Knicks. The Knicks are 2 more games back behind the Cavs, meaning they are 3.5 games back from the Bucks. Orlando hanging on. Only half a game behind the Knicks, really close in the 4-5 right there. And then from there, there's kind of a little gap right now. It's currently 2 games. But then you get this crowded 6-8 jostle of Indiana, half a game up on the Heat and Sixers, who are tied in record. And then below them is the Bulls and Hawks. So that's kind of like the realm of sadness. They're going to be 9-10. It seems pretty, unless one of the. I mean, if Sixers keep sliding, Chicago's been playing pretty well, but I have to assume that they'll be 9-10. But actually, a big game Monday night, a big couple games for the whole rest of the East. On ESPN, Heat Sixers, huge play-in implications game. Plus, Pacers host the Cavs, who are not playing greatly. They lost a game with Mitchell and Garland against a pretty beat-up team, which is weird, but big playoff implication, play-in implications. Actually, the Knicks, Hawks, and Bulls also play as well. So, it'd be a big night of results for Milwaukee. But again, the Bucks, I think, have an inside line at the 2 seed here. It's closing that up, or at least a top 3. Now it's, okay, who's going to be in that 7-8? Personally, I would rather see anyone but Miami there, but we'll see how the dominoes fall.
Yeah, I was just thinking, how do we not do that? I think Miami just continuing to win games helps the Bucks out a lot in that regard.
Yeah, they're on a 2-game win streak, but it took a Bam Adebayo catch and shoot buzzer beater 3 to beat the Pistons.
Hey, that's your guy. That's what you want. That's the shot you want, right?
I like middies.
That's the shot you want. Bam's the best shooter of all time.
And what do you do?
I'm saying that's the shot you want, right?
game. Something's off with Miami this year, more than usual. I won't give up on them, but they're 11-3 against their horrible division. You won't give up on them, buddy. I'm not going to assume they're dead. I mean, 11 of their 37 wins are against the rest of their terrible division.
Yeah.
Like, they don't beat anybody else. I mean, Orlando's pretty good, but outside of that, like...
It's been a weird season, but they've still put a fear in me that I cannot miss. So if Miami wants to keep winning games, get into 3, hey, maybe if you can get your way to 5, take care of that. Getting that Boston matchup in the second round.
The ideal for them, 5 or 8 is the ideal for the Heat, for sure.
5 or I guess it'll determine the play-in. So you'd have to lose the first round.
Yeah, and which is what they did last year.
Yeah. Hey, do it again.
Again, they were completely dead in the water as of the first play-in game, and then did what
Went
they
to
did.
The finals.
So you just can't ever. They're unpredictable. They are the hardest to predict team in the league.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. Do we have anything else we need to really touch on here? Or can we wrap this up, Ty?
We can wrap it. Celtics and the Nets back-to-back the game after. I assume some Bucks will get rest. Certainly Chris will for that game.
The Nets just got big brothered by Wemby.
They are an embarrassment to basketball.
Even more so than like the Raptors, the Hornets, the Wizards.
They lost to the Spurs. They lost to the Pacers. They lost to the Magic. They beat the Cavs. Come on, Cavs. They lost by 11 to the Hornets. They lost to the Pistons. They lost to the Pistons and the Hornets back-to-back.
That's okay.
They lost to the Grizzlies the week before. They just lost to the Spurs. I mean, they are horrible.
I'm excited for some horrible basketball. I'm going to Wizards Trailblazers in the beginning of April.
That's crazy.
I'm so excited. In
DC?
Yeah.
It's a nice arena. You can get in for $2, which is great.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've never been to that arena before, so looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm so excited for some bad basketball. It's going to be...
Anthony Simons might have 90 points in that game.
I'm so excited. And then he's going to give me the game ball.
He should. You should be like, get one of those signs like, Anthony, give me one of your shoes, please. I kind of hate those.
Just be like a little kid.
I hate those, yeah.
Like if you're not like a kid, it's... No.
It would be... I should start bringing one. Giannis.
Bring it to Herd Gibbs.
Yeah.
Ryan Rollins, can I have your shirt?
Marquise Chris.
No, obviously not. But for Bucks games, yeah, that'd be funny. But yeah, we'll wrap this up. Say thank you for listening to this episode of the Eurostep here on Blue Wire and GSPN, presented by Prize Picks. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you're listening to this podcast on your podcast platform of choice or watching on YouTube. Leave a 5-star rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. Engage in the comments on YouTube. Make sure you tell your friends and family about the show. Make sure you check out gspn.info for all of our podcasts. Hey, 10 days from opening day, Ty. 10 days from opening day.
Can't wait. Sal, the third baseman, like what an exciting time. Devin Williams thing sucks though, but thankfully the Brewers can just produce relievers. So
yeah, they just grow them on trees, so it's fine.
Yeah, relievers and catchers, baby.
Hey, all I'm saying is William Contreras is going to be the best catcher in baseball this year. Sorry, Adley.
Isn't he younger than him? Or right there in age, too?
I think so.
It's just wild. Contreras feels like one of the most underrated players in MLB. I was looking at the MLB The Show rankings. Like, what are we doing? That guy's awesome.
He's going to rake this year. I'm telling you that.
That might be my next Brewers jersey move.
William, what are your current Brewers jerseys?
Lucroy.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I need an updated one. I kind of need to see how the contract stuff shakes out, though. I mean, Churrio's the safe bet right now, of course, but we'll see.
Oh yeah, I didn't even mention Jackson Chourio. Like, let's see how he does with the big boy squad.
Yeah.
Imagine he just comes out, wins MVP.
That would be. I would appreciate that if he would do that.
Yeah,
that would make my decision easier as well.
Brewers win the World Series. Speaking it into existence. But yeah, make sure you check out gspn.info for links to all of our pod random, and we'll talk to you next time.